Welcome in to the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel for another massive live and in-person college commitment. My name is Blair Angulo. We're going to head out to the Salt Lake City area in the state of Utah very shortly to hear from Austin Peay. He is one of the most coveted offensive tackles remaining in the 2025 recruiting cycle. 6'7", 295, a four-year starter at Lone Peak High School in American Fork, Utah. He is down to three schools. It is in-state BYU, Oklahoma, and Oregon. Took a handful of official visits during the summer, wrapped up his trips with a stop in Norman to check out the Sooners a couple weeks ago. And Austin Peay is now ready to reveal his college choice. Remember to like this video and subscribe to the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel so you get caught up on all the action, not only with your own favorite college football team, but with all the recruiting activity across the country. So let's head out to the Beehive State to catch up with Austin Peay, who is enjoying a big week. His Los Angeles Dodgers captured the World Series, and now he's ready to come off the board and make his college choice. Austin, you're surrounded by your family and your friends. Take us through what this moment is like for you right now.
It's crazy. It's been a fun but crazy ride. I've had the blessing of having 24 offers and a lot of colleges of showed interest, so it's been fun.
You have taken a very methodical approach with this process. I think we can label it that because we're only about a month out until the early signing period. We see prospects from across the country come off the board earlier and earlier. You were very patient with things. You took the official visits in the summer. You kind of dragged it out into the season. What was that like for you to really kind of do your homework and do your research with a lot of these schools?
I think your college choice is such an important decision in your life, so I was in no hurry to make a decision. I wanted to check all the boxes and make sure I felt super confident in where I was going to go.
You have those three hats in front of you, surrounded by your parents. It's BYU, Oklahoma, and Oregon. What about those three schools specifically made them finalists for you?
So I'll start with Oregon. I think Dan Lanning's doing some really great things at Oregon. And when we went on the official visit, he just showed to me how committed he was to Oregon. Like you see nowadays, so many coaches are kind of jumping ship. And so it was really important to me to have places that were stable. And then obviously Coach Terry, who is a very young O-line coach, but has had some really big successes in the last two seasons. And then
you also wrapped up your official visits, like I mentioned earlier, with Oklahoma, getting out to see Coach Bill Bedenbaugh, Coach Brent Venables. What did you like and what did you see from the Sooners?
The first thing that caught my eye with the Sooners is how Coach B has been there through a ton of different head coaches, and he's put a ton of guys in the league. And then Coach V now had something called Soul Mission, which is kind of an initiative to have players go help in the community and prepare them for after football, which I think was super cool.
Yeah, and then BYU, a program that you're very familiar with. You have the family ties. It's just up the road as well. What has it been like to get an inside look at the Cougars, especially given the success that they've had this season?
It's been really cool. Obviously, my brother is the starting center right now, but is unfortunately hurt. It's been kind of a crazy ride to see what they've gone through now with kind of three different O-line coaches through his career. But why they're on the table is I think the addition of Coach Woods has been a big help to the O-line. There's been a huge jump in offensive production since he's got there, and obviously they're undefeated right now. Then obviously the LDS aspect is always going to be a draw for me. So just a place that's really comfortable for me in my religion.
You have narrowed it down to those three finalists. So Austin, now's the time to let us know where you will be playing your college football.
First, I would just like to thank all those who have helped me get to this moment. Coach Will Kofe from OFA and Stroformance, and obviously my parents right here who have been the biggest support for me. But with that being said, I'll be committing to Brigham Young University.
Austin Peay is staying close to home. He will play his college ball in the Big 12 for the hometown school, the BYU Cougars. They've had a tremendous season, like we alluded to earlier, really turned things around. Coach Kalani Sitake and that whole program getting things up and in an upward trajectory. When you look at what they've done on the field, how much excitement did that build up in terms of looking at your future and what you could possibly do there in Provo?
A lot of excitement. It's cool to see how well that team's gelling right now. And it was kind of good for me to see how Coach Woods was going to be for the team. And obviously he's been really great because that offensive line is doing really well right now.
How do you think you fit in along that front? You have the versatility to play a number of spots. We've seen you in the 5-on-5 circuit at all these showcases. I mentioned earlier off the top that you've been starting at left tackle since you were a freshman there at Lone Peak. When you look down the road, maybe 2-3 years, where do you see yourself fitting in?
Obviously, I think right now I'd see myself as a tackle down the road, but I'm willing to play wherever they need me and just where they need me to play so we can win football games.
You know your game very well. What is the program? What are those fans? What should they expect to see when you eventually take the field there in Provo?
Just a guy who's a hard worker and very aggressive, and is going to get after some D linemen.
Austin Peay committing to the BYU Cougars, will be staying close to home, playing his college ball in Provo in the Big 12. Congratulations, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Blair.
All right, that is Austin Peay, 6'7", 295. The BYU Cougars getting a really lengthy and physical offensive tackle, can play either left or right. His season has a number of reps, and he's continued to get better every year that we've tracked him on the high school field and in the camp circuit, as you see here. Very active feet, physical with his hands, is able to keep those defenders off of him. And when you think about upside and when you think about projection, it's easy to dream on what Austin Peay can become in a handful of years. Does intend to go on a 2-year church mission with the LDS Church, but would be in line to return to college in time for the 2027 season. So you look at maybe what he's going to be able to be physically and kind of the strengths in his game. It's really easy to envision a highly successful college career with some considerable NFL potential there with his size and with his traits. The BYU Cougars make a huge recruiting victory there within the state's borders, beating out Oregon and Oklahoma for Austin Peay. For all the latest on your college football team, remember to stay locked into the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel.